ಭೀತಿ ತೊರೆಯುವ ನಾವು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಬರೆಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ
ಖಾಲಿ ಜಾಗ ಭರ್ತಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೊಂದಿಸಿ ಬರೆದು ಲೆಕ್ಕ ಮಾಡಿ
ಚಿತ್ರ ಬರೆದು ಭಾಗವ ಹೆಸರಿಸಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೂ ಉತ್ತರಿಸಿ
ಪಾಸು ಫೇಲು ಗೆಲುವು ಸೋಲು ಜೀವನ ಎಲ್ಲಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮಿಗಿಲು
ಅಂಕಗಳೆಂದರೆ ಮೇಲಿನ ತೊಗಟೆ ವಿದ್ಯೆ ಅದರ ಒಳಗಿನ ತಿರುಳು ಭೀತಿ ತೊರೆಯುವ ನಾವು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಬರೆಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ
ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿ.
Namaste. I welcome all my beloved SSLC students for the content based revision classes. I am Venkatesh Vaidhyayal. I am teaching maths for last 22 years. I am working in Government Bagalur High School and Bangalore North. I actually going to somehow teach certain problems on theorems of triangles based on similarity. So we will consider the problems on triangles and on the theorems. Let us recall what you have learnt about the theorems. So in 10th standard actually you have learnt Thales theorem and criterion for similarity of triangles, and let us consider triangle LMN and triangle PQR here, and we have named them as such. And the criterions are, first of all, the corresponding angles criterion, secondly proportion of corresponding sides, and proportion of any two corresponding sides and the angle in between them. The fourth criterion is the areas of similar triangles. So we have studied all these in the previous classes itself. So we will even discuss certain problems on Pythagoras theorem, and here as we can recall, this AC is the hypotenuse and its square is equal to sum of the squares on other two sides. So let us consider the first problem. So in the diagram, if DE parallel to BC, we have to find EC. So actually before going to solve the problem, let us read the diagram. In this diagram, AE is 1 centimeter, AD it is given, it is 1.5, and DB is 3 centimeters. We have to find this EC. So in triangle ABC, DE is parallel to BC, it is given here, DE is parallel to BC. Therefore the ratio of the corresponding sides AD by DB is equal to AE by EC. So it is from Thales theorem. Now let us substitute the values. AD is 1.5, BD is 3 centimeters, and it is equal to 1 by EC. So let us cross multiply. EC into 1.5 is 1 into 3. So on simplification, EC is 3 into 1 by 1.5, which is 2 centimeters. So the length of EC is 2 centimeters. So let us consider the second problem. So in the diagram, if LM is parallel to CB and LN is parallel to CD, prove AM by AB is equal to AN by AD. So let us analyze the diagram, let us read the diagram. So in triangle ABC, ML and BC they are parallel on the top, and LN and CD they are parallel, it is given. So in triangle ABC, LM is parallel to CB, it is given. Therefore AM by AB is equal to AL by AC. We can see the ratio, it is from Thales theorem. So let us call it as equation 1. Now similarly let us consider triangle ADC. So here LN is parallel to CD, therefore we can easily tell AN by AD is equal to AL by AC. So let us call this as equation 2. This statement is also got by Thales theorem itself. Now from axiom 1 we know that AL by AC and AL by AC are present in both the equations. Therefore AM by AB should be equal to AN by AD. So let us move on to the third problem. In trapezium ABCD, AB parallel to CD and diagonals intersect at O. If AB is equal to twice of CD, then find the ratio of the areas of triangle AOB and triangle COD. So let us find the solution. So let us find the trapezium ABCD. We have drawn it. As it is already given, AB is parallel to CD and the diagonals are AC and BD. We know that AC and BD they intersect at O, it is given, and since AB and CD they are parallel, therefore we can tell that this AC and DB they are transversals. We can recall from the studies of 8th standard that if any transversal cuts any two parallel lines, then alternate angles exist, vertically opposite angles exist. Therefore we can easily tell that from the diagram itself angle 1 is equal to angle 2. Similarly angle 4 is equal to angle 3. Therefore we can conclude like this. So let us solve it in the written form. In triangle AOB and in triangle COD we can find alternate angles as 1 and 2 and 5 and 6 as the vertically opposite angles. There is one more pair of alternate angles, they are 3 and 4, they are equal. Therefore from AA similarity criterion we can tell that triangle COD is similar to triangle AOB. But the fact required, the problem requires us to find the areas of triangle AOB and triangle COD. Therefore let us recall our knowledge of areas of similar triangles are proportional to square on the corresponding sides. Therefore area of triangle AOB by area of triangle COD is equal to AB square by CD square. So let us substitute the value of AB, it is given AB is nothing but 2 times CD. Therefore let us substitute AB square as 2 CD whole square by CD square. So on simplifying, area of triangle AOB by area of triangle COD is equal to 4 CD square by CD square. So which is nothing but 4 by 1 as CD square and CD square gets cancelled. Therefore the ratios of the areas is equal to 4:1. So let us move to the next problem. So let us consider the problem like this. The heights AD and CE of triangle ABC intersect each other at P. Then prove that triangle AEP is similar to triangle CDP, triangle ABD similar to triangle CBE. So let us see the diagram. AD is perpendicular to BC, AE is perpendicular to AB. So let us consider the first one here. So in triangle AEP and in this triangle AEP and in CDP, let us consider these two triangles. So in these two triangles we can easily find that this angle E is equal to this angle D. So they are perpendicular angles. So it is nothing but they are 90 degree, and we can even find the vertically opposite angles. Here this angle, here we can find the vertically opposite angles. APE angle is equal to CPD. Therefore we can conclude that from A criterion these two triangles, angle APE, this triangle and this triangle CPD, they are similar. Now let us consider the second one in triangle ABD. So in triangle ABD we can see it here AB ABD and CBE we can see E, C and B. So in these two triangles we can find right angles again. Angle ADB is equal to angle CEB. So CEB is equal to angle ADB, they are 90 degree. Now, common angles are ABD. We can see angle B is present in both the triangles. Therefore, two angles are equal. The third angle should be equal. Therefore, from A criterion, we can easily tell that triangle ABD is similar to triangle CBE. Now, let us move on to the next problem. So, the ladder which is 25 meter long is set against a wall of a house just about reaches a window at a height of 20 meter above ground level. What is the distance between bases of the wall and the ladder? So, let us draw the diagram. So, AB is the ladder here, it represents, and AC is the wall and BC is the distance between their bases. So, let us solve it. So, height of the wall CA is 24 centimeters, 24 meters here, and length of the ladder it is given AB, it is 25 meters, it is given. So, from Pythagoras theorem, we know that square on the hypotenuse is equal to sum of the squares on other two sides. Therefore, this is AB, it is nothing but hypotenuse, and the other two sides, sum of the other two sides, square on the sum of the other two sides are AC square plus BC square. So, let us substitute the values. AB square is 25 square, AC square is 24 square plus BC square. Let us simplify this. So, BC square is nothing but 625 minus 576, they are the values of squares of 25 and 24. Therefore, BC square is nothing but 49, 49 is the square of 7. So, it is a simple way of solving, but if we have somehow recalled our triplets, we can easily find the third side as 7. See, in this we can see that 25, 24 and 7 they are the triplets. If 25 represents AB, 24 as CA and 7 should be BC. If we recall it easily, we can cross check or we can easily solve the problem also. Now, hence we can tell the distance between their bases is 7 meter. Now, let us move on to the next problem. So, in the diagram, if AD perpendicular to BC, then prove that AB square plus CD square is equal to BD square plus AC square. So, in this diagram we can see, so AB square is the base here and CD square we can see this side CD square and BD square is here BD square and its sum is square of its sum with AC. Now, let us see it. So, in triangle ADC, AD is perpendicular to CD. By seeing the diagram itself, as AD is perpendicular to BC, AD should be perpendicular to CD. Now, by using Pythagoras theorem, we can tell AC is the hypotenuse, therefore, AC square is equal to sum of the other two squares. Then, similarly, in triangle ADB, the triangle which is at the below, AD is perpendicular to BD, we can tell that AB square is equal to AD square plus BD square. So, let us call these two equations by 1 and 2. Now, let us subtract these two, thereby we can get 2 minus 1 is nothing but AB square minus AC square, which is BD square minus CD square. Now, let us rearrange so that we can get what is required. Therefore, AB square plus CD square is nothing but BD square plus AC square. Now, let us move on to the next problem. Two cars have started to move from a station. A car A is moving towards north with a speed of 200 km per hour. The distance between these two cars after 1.5 hours is 500 kilometers, as the car B is moving towards west. What is the speed of car B? So, there are two cars, we can understand the problem, car A and car B. Car A has the speed of 200 km per hour here, and they are travelling up to 1.5 hours. After 1.5 hours, we have measured the distance, it is 500 kilometers. So, this car B, it is moving towards west, but car A is moving towards north. So, we can easily draw the diagram. So, one is moving towards north and one is moving towards west. So, we can easily find that it forms a right angle triangle like this. So, AOB is a right angle triangle and AB is the hypotenuse and it makes 90 degree at O. So, let us solve it. Distance covered by car A towards north is OA. See the diagram. So, the speed is 200 multiplied by the time 1.5 hours is nothing but 3 by 2, which is 300 kilometers. Distance between two cars AB is 500 kilometers, it is given. So, OB square from Pythagoras theorem, OB square is nothing but AB square minus OA square. I have rearranged the statement of Pythagoras. Now, we can tell that OB square is nothing but 400 square and we can easily find OB as 400 kilometer. So, the same thing can be easily found out by using the triplet, and triplet here is 500, 300 and 400. If AB represents 500, OA it shows 300 and OB is 400. Therefore, we can somehow predict OB as 400 itself. Now, let us continue the problem. I have redrawn the diagram here. So, here the distance covered by car B towards west is 400 kilometers, we have found it. Now, the speed of the car, as we have learnt it, is equal to distance by time. It is distance is 400, time is 3 by 2. Let us simplify, it is 400 into 2 by 3. So, it is 266.67 kilometers per hour. So, the speed of the car is 266.6 kilometers per hour. Now, let us move on to the next problem. In an equilateral triangle ABC, D is a point on BC such that BD is equal to BC. Prove that 9 AD square is 7 AB square. So, BD is 1/3 of BC. So, let us see the diagram. ABC is the diagram, AE is the height, and we know that in any equilateral triangle the height AE, the point on BC E divides BC into two equal parts. Therefore, BE is equal to EC. We have to recall it. So, in any equilateral triangle it happens. Now, length of each side BX, let us assume each side BX. Therefore, AB, BC and AC, they are all equal to x. Now, what is BD and what is BC then? So, BD is 1/3 of BC, it is given. So, let us substitute BC as x. So, it is nothing but x by 3. So, if it is x by 3 here, so AE the height, as we have already discussed on that, and E is the point on BC such that BE is equal to EC, as it is an equilateral triangle. Therefore, it is nothing but x by 2, as BC is x. So, BE is half of x. Now, let us find DE. So, DE is nothing but, we can easily see that DE is nothing but BE minus BD. So, that is nothing but x by 2 minus x by 3, which is x by 6. Therefore, AE is, as we already know, is root 3 times the side by 2. So, the height is nothing but root 3 times side by 2. So, it is root 3 x by 2. Now, let us move further. So, from Pythagoras theorem, in triangle ADE, in this triangle, AD square is AE square plus DE square. AD is the hypotenuse, AE and DE, they are the other two sides. Therefore, from Pythagoras theorem, E is the perpendicular, at E, AE has been drawn as the perpendicular. Now, AD square is equal to, we know that AE is root 3 x by 2. Therefore, AE square is 3x square by 4 and DE is x by 6. Therefore, it is x square by 36. Now let us simplify this. AD square is equal to 27x square plus x square by 36. So 36 is the LCM here. Now AD square is equal to 28 square x square, it is 28 x square by 36 can be factored as 9 into 4. So it is nothing but 4 7s are 28, therefore 9 AD square is 7x square. So AD is nothing but as 9 AD is equal to x is nothing but AB, therefore 9 AD square is 7 AB square. So line segments B and CD intersect at F, thereby forming a parallelogram ABCD. Prove that triangle ABE is similar to triangle CFB. So let us draw the diagram. It is given. So ABCD as shown in the diagram, it is the parallelogram. So we can recall the properties of parallelogram. Angle A and angle C are equal, and if BE is the transversal, angle 1 and 2 they are equal. So let us solve it. So let us consider triangle ABE. So let us see it, triangle ABE, the big triangle, and CFB. CFB is on the right side, that is those two triangles let us consider. So in these two triangles let us find opposite angles of ABCD. So they are the opposite angles of a parallelogram. Angle A, here the angle A is equal to angle C, and it is equal to angle FDE because they are corresponding angles. Now AEB, angle AEB, you can see it, AEB at the top is equal to angle CBF, it is at the bottom, right bottom. We can find that they are equal and they are alternate angles because BE is the transversal. Therefore angle, and even angle EFD is equal to angle BFC, they are vertically opposite angles. Therefore we can easily tell that triangle ABE is similar to triangle CFB. So this is by AAA criterion, we have already discussed. So let us read the problem. Prove the area of an equilateral triangle described on one side of a square is equal to half the area of the equilateral triangle described on one of its diagonals. So the problem itself tells there are two equilateral triangles. So if there are equilateral triangles, before actually going to solve the problem, we can easily tell that those two triangles are similar based on AA criterion. Now let us see the diagram. In the diagram, AB is the side of the square ABCD and triangle AEB is on the side AB, and there is one more triangle, we can see that it is DBF and it is on the diagonal DB. Now from this we can tell that AEB and BDF, those two triangles, they are similar. Now let us see the thing. So let ABCD be the square of a side A. So let its diagonal DB is equal to root A square plus A square, which is nothing but A root 2, and we can prove this by using Pythagoras theorem because DB is the hypotenuse and AB and AD, they are the sides of triangle ABD. So we have found the length of diagonal AB, diagonal DB, and we can find the desired equilateral triangles here. So they are triangle ABE and triangle DBF. Now each side of triangle DBF is A root 2, and similarly each side of triangle ABE is A. So from this we can tell that triangle ABE is similar and to triangle DBF. If these two triangles are similar, from the theorem, ratios of the areas of triangles is proportional to square on the corresponding sides, and this we have already studied. Now let us somehow summarize the thing. So area of triangle ABD, so it is area of triangle ABE by area of triangle DBF is equal to the square on the corresponding sides. So it is A square by a root 2 whole square. So, in place of AB I have substituted a square, and in place of dB I have substituted a root 2. So, on simplification we can get 1 by 2 and it is nothing but 1:2. So, let us consider one more problem here. PQR is a triangle right angled at P and M is the point on QR such that PM is perpendicular to QR. We can see that, show that PM square is QM into MR. So, angle P is the right angled vertex, and again for triangle QMP M is the right angled vertex, and for triangle PMR M is the right angled vertex. So, let us solve this. So, let us assume angle MPR is x. So, this angle be x. Now, in triangle MPR, in this triangle, so angle MRP, this angle is 180 degree, because sum of three angles of a triangle is 180 degree, minus this is 90, angle M is 90, and this is M, we have already assumed MPR as x, therefore, it is 90 minus x. So, angle MRP is 90 minus 90 degree minus x. Now, similarly in triangle MPQ, in the above triangle, we can see that angle MPQ is equal to 90 degree minus angle MPR, because it is nothing but 90 degree minus x. Again angle MQP, so the top angle, the vertex angle MQP is equal to 180 degree minus 90 degree minus 90 degree minus x, which is nothing but x itself. So, let us reconsider triangle QMP and triangle PMR. So, angle MPQ is equal to angle MRP and both are equal to 90 degree minus x. Angle PMQ is equal to angle PMR is equal to 90 degree. Angle MQP is equal to angle MPR, it is x, we have already proved it and we have assumed initially. Hence, by A criterion we can presume that these two triangles are similar. Now, let us consider one more problem. ABC is an equilateral triangle of side 2A. Find each of its altitudes. So, let us see the triangle ABC. Since it is equilateral triangle, all sides AB, BC and AC, they are all equal. Now, if sides are equal and there is one more line we have drawn, that is altitude AD, and we know that AD bisects opposite side. So, it bisects BC into 2. So, BD is nothing but half of BC and DC is also half of BC, but and even BD is equal to DC. So, let us somehow materialize the same thing. So, in triangle ABC, AD be the altitude, therefore, BD is equal to DC and it is nothing but 2A by 2, which is A itself. Now, they are equal because altitude bisects opposite sides, opposite the side here. Now, in triangle ADB, consider that the right angled triangle, right angled at angle D. So, AD square plus DB square is equal to AB square. Now, let us continue. So, from the Pythagoras theorem itself, AD square plus DB square is AB square, as AB is the hypotenuse. So, let us put AD as it is, AD square plus DB is nothing but half of BC, which is nothing but A. So, DB is equal to A and DB square is A square, which is equal to AB square, which is nothing but AB is the length it is given. So, it is 2A, AB square is 2A whole square. Now, let us simplify it. AD square plus A square is equal to 4A square. Now, let us send A square to the right side, thereby AD square is equal to 3A square, because 4a square minus a square becomes 3a square. On simplification, AD is nothing but a root 3. So, the altitude of any equilateral triangle is a root 3. So, while solving problems on similarity of triangles, it is better to recall statements of theorems. It will be easier for us and it will facilitate us to solve the problems easily, and even it is helpful to answer 1 mark questions, and it is better to recall diagrams related to theorems, because diagrams will be helpful to somehow identify what is given and what is to be proved, and draw related diagrams if needed, and if diagram is asked by us, we need to draw it, and it is better to identify the given values and measurements, so that the problem would be understood easily by us. And one more thing is, we need to find the corresponding angles and corresponding sides. Thereby, it will be easier for us to solve problems on similarity of triangles. And if we recall Pythagorean triplets, it will be helpful to solve certain problems on right angled triangles. And these triplets, as we have seen in the problems before, they are helpful even to score 1 or 2 marks questions, and it will be helpful even to identify certain sites and easily continue in solving our problems. And these triplets are not only useful to solve problems on triangles, but also are helpful in solving certain problems on circles, areas of circles, coordinate geometry, trigonometry, and many more. Thank you.
Hi, welcome to Pariksha Vani classes. I am your teacher Rakib. Today we will learn the topic electricity, electric current. Electric current in a conductor means it is nothing but the total number of charges that are flowing through any one particular area in a unit time. That means electric current is the count of the total number of charges with respect to time. We calculate the electric current by using the formula I is equal to Q by T, where Q is the total number of charges and T is the time. I is used for electric current. Earlier, when electric current was found, or it was believed that the charges that were flowing through the conductors were having a positive charge. That is why it was believed that the direction of electric current was plus to minus. But later on, now we realize that the charges that flow through a circuit, electrical circuit, are nothing but electrons, and they have a negative charge. That is why the direction of flow of electrons is minus to plus, but conventionally we have believed that the direction of electric current is plus to minus. How are we going to measure electric current? So, what is this Coulomb? Coulomb is the charge of electrons. So, one electron, the charge is equal to 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 Coulomb. So, by adding how many electrons can we get a charge which is equal to 1 Coulomb is the question. For that, as you can see, the number of electrons into charge of 1 electron is equal to 1 Coulomb. By using this, we derive that the total number of electrons is 6 into 10 to the power of 18 electrons needed to be considered as 1 Coulomb of charge, even though out of 6 into 10 to the power of 18 electron is having a charge of 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 Coulomb. How do we measure electric current? We measure the electric current by making use of this instrument called as ammeter, always connected in a series manner in an electrical circuit. What is this series pattern? We will see later in our working circuit diagrams in the next slides. So, the SI unit of electric current is ampere. So, current is Q by T, Q is charge, that is coulomb, T is time, that is in 1 second. So, one charge, 1 coulomb of charge, that means 6 into 10 to the power of 18 electrons, if they pass through the conductor in 1 second, we call it as 1 ampere. Let us use a formula to calculate the charge by using the formula I is equal to Q by T, which we learned just now. Here in this problem, a current of 0.5 ampere is drawn by a filament of an electric bulb for 10 minutes. We have to find the total electric charge. You know that the charge is denoted by Q, I and I is the current, T is the time. When we take I is equal to Q by T, then if we cross multiply, Q is equal to I into T. We are substituting the values 0.5 A, this is current, and time is 600. How did we got 600? 10 minutes into 60 is 600 seconds. So, now we reach the value 300. What is this 300? It is coulomb. Coulomb means charge. The total charge is 300 coulomb. Just observe carefully here. We have a cell, we have a resistor, we have an electric bulb. All these we know. But what is present here on the other side? These are the symbols which are used to symbolize or denote these equipments that we make use of in our daily life. Apart from those, here we have a whole bunch of many electrical components and their symbols. We have to remember these symbols in order to remember and in order to discuss the next concepts in electric current. So, remember all these symbols carefully. Now, electric potential and potential difference. If we want to move any object, we need to do work on it. We need, unless an object is displaced from one point to another point, we don't say work has been done. In the same way, here the objects that are moving are charges, and to move those charges, work has to be done. So, who does the work? It is the power source or a battery. The battery, it does the work to move the charges from one point to the other. If you take a 1.5 volt battery or any other, that is the source that is doing the work in an electrical circuit. Potential difference means it is the work done to move a charge from one point to other. It is calculated by using potential difference is equal to work done by the total amount of charge. V is equal to W by Q. The SI unit of electric potential is volt. 1 volt is equal to 1 joule of work, and to displace to transfer 1 coulomb of charges. 1 joule by 1 coulomb is 1 volt, work done by charge. Now, we have seen work done by charge is equal to 1 volt, and we shall solve this problem here. So, how much work is done to move a charge of 2 coulomb across 2 points having a potential difference of 12 volt? That means a battery which having 12 volt power supply. Here we find the formula, we know the formula V is equal to W by Q. Using that, W is equal to V into Q. So, the total work done is 24 joules. In order to measure the potential difference in the electric circuit, we make use of the voltmeter, and remember, it is always connected in parallel to measure the potential difference at any 2 points in the electric circuit. So, now we have learned some basic concept of electric current. We are going into the second concept, that is the Ohm's law. Here what we will do is we will try to find the relationship between the potential difference, that is the source that we are applying there, and the current which is flowing through the resistors. Here we measure the current. What relation do these have? We need to find it through this working experiment. So, let us start the case 1, that is the potential difference is 1 volt. when the potential difference is 1 volt, we find that in the ammeter the reading is 2 ampere. So, we have noted it down. V and I, V is potential difference, I is the electric current. It is 1 volt and 2 amperes. Now, we will take the ratio V by I, we are dividing 1 by 2. So, case 1 results are with us. Now, what about case 2? What we will do in case 2? In case 2, can you observe, we have increased the power source, we have added another battery. Now, let us see what will happen. 2 volt is the power source that we are giving to this electric circuit. Now, you can see the ammeter is showing 4 amperes. Rest of all the things are same. So, we will note it down, but one thing we are finding here is the ratio is 1 by 2, and another thing is if we increase the voltage, the current is also increasing. Go to the case 3, that is the last case. We can go on, but for time being we are increasing it the third battery, we are adding 3 volts of electric current or potential difference. So, now we shall measure the electric current, it is 6 amperes in the ammeter. So, again the ratio is 1 by 2, the current is increasing when we increase the volt potential difference, and but the ratio is still the same. These are the 2 observations we can find from this circuit we have seen from this experiment. Let us write it down. What is this? This is proportionality symbol, where we are telling that when we increase the potential difference, the electric current is increasing in any electric circuit, and V by I, the value is constant. It was constant earlier in our experiment, 2 amperes. So, V by I is equal to, we shall call it as R, that constant is called as R. So, when we cross multiply, V is equal to I into R. George Simon Ohm did this, and this is what we call as Ohm's law. The potential difference V across the ends of a given metallic wire in an electric circuit is directly proportional to the current through it, provided, very important thing, the temperature has to be same. These are the points that we already discussed, we have noted it down. Now, what is 1 ohm? Ohm is the unit of resistance, and what is 1 ohm? 1 ohm is 1 volt by 1 ampere. When 1 volt of current is passing, 1 volt of potential difference is provided to the circuit, and 1 ampere of electric current is passing through the circuit, then it is called as 1 ohm. Now, let us come to the third point which we are learning, that is the factors on which resistance of a conductor depends. Let us find what factors on which the resistance of a conductor depends. This is the second experiment, remember we are doing. This is the case 1. We have taken a nichrome wire, AB is a nichrome wire. Now, we will give the power source in the electric circuit and note down the electric current in this nichrome wire, passing through this nichrome wire. So, the electric current is 4 amperes. Now, let us go to case 2. What we will do in case 2? We have increased the thickness of the wire. Whether when we supply, when we give the power source in this circuit, whether we will find any difference, let us see. So, as you can see, the electric current is more. So, it is around 6 amperes. So, what we did, why did we get more electric current? We increased the thickness of the wire. Now, let us, we have got 2 things. When we increase the thickness or increase the area of cross section is just the thickness. Thickness is called the area of cross section. Then we will get more current, electric current. More current means less resistance. So, what is this resistance? See, when as we said, the electric current means the flow of charges. When the charges is flowing through a conductor, charges are flowing through a conductor, then the atoms of the conductor, they collide with the electrons, because of which the movement of electrons gets stopped or discontinued. So, this is called resistance. For the flow of resistance, for flow of charges, resistance has to be less. So, here more charges passed because the resistance was less. Why did the resistance was less? Because we increased the area thickness. So, inversely proportional. Now, this is the case 3. What do we do in case 3? We have increased the length of the wire. AB was the initial length. Now, we have increased the length to CB. Now, let us see what will happen, whether the current will increase or decrease. That is the question. So, we have increased, we have given the power source now, and we are measuring the electric current. You can see it is 2 amperes. So, when we increase the length, this is third case, and with the, we remember we have maintained the same potential difference V, the current is less. So, the current is less means less number of charges are passing through the wire CB. Less number of charges passing means more resistance is there in the wire. So, when we increase the length, resistance is more. When we increase the thickness, resistance is less. So, let us write the third point, which we trial which we did. Resistance of a conductor increases when the length of the conductor increases. Therefore, R is proportional to L. This is the last case. What is the last case? We are changing the material of the conductor, and AB, the length is same, the thickness of the wire is same. We are only changing the material. Earlier we took the nichrome wire, we are taking some other wire here. Let us see what will happen, whether we will again get the same amount of electric current which we got in the nichrome wire. So, now we have got around 5 amperes of electric current in the ammeter. We will note it down. The last case, we have changed the material. Now, we are getting the current of 5 ampere. So, that means this material was having same length and same thickness with the wire in the case 1. Despite of that, it is not giving the same electric current. That means, this nichrome wire is having a different resistance, this wire is having a different resistance. The material, when it changes, it has different resistances. So, by varying the nature of material, the current flow varies. So, the inference is resistance of a conductor varies when the material of the conductor varies. So, we will write down all those things. The resistance, R is resistance, L is the length, it is directly proportional, we have seen. Area of cross section is A, it is inversely proportional, that means area increases, resistance decreases. By combining both, in the numerator we have put L and denominator A. So, now this rho is the constant of proportionality and it is called the electrical resistivity. So, electrical resistivity is used to compare different materials when we are choosing material for different purposes. Sometimes we may need electrical resistance more, then we choose the material which is having high electrical resistivity. For example, in an electrical iron box, we choose materials which are having more electrical resistivity. Whereas in fan, we do not use materials which are having more electrical resistivity. Now, we will go to the next thing. So, here we are comparing the electrical resistivity of conductors, alloys and insulators. So, as you can see, the conductors are very high or low in resistivity, that means electric current flows easily even though there is some resistance in it. In alloys, it is little bit more compared to the conductors or metals, we can say, and in insulators the resistivity is very high. Here I want to add one point. See, when electric current is being used, in one or the other way there is some heat as a byproduct, that is what we call as heating effect. We will come to it later. Now, we will solve a problem on Ohm's law. Here, how much electric current will an electric bulb draw from a 220 volt source if the bulb filament is 2200 ohm. So, now we need to find the electric current. So, I is equal to V by R is the formula we use to find the electric current. I is equal to V by R, and in the second sub question we need to find the current in the electrical heater. We find by V by R it is equal to 2.2 area. So, we are using the formula V is equal to IR. Two things will be known, one unknown quantity we need to find. Now, we will go to the third concept, that is the resistance of a system of resistors in series and parallel. Now, first thing we will learn series. So, this is the third experiment we are doing. Now, what we need to think about is what is the electric current that we get. These three are the resistance in series, one after the other. If we are connected, it is series. One over the other, if that is the another pattern that we will come to later. Let us see what will happen here. So, note down the electric current, it is 2 amperes when the ammeter is connected at the end of the third 3 resistors. Now, let us try to do some change here. We will put the ammeter here after the first resistance. Earlier it was 2 ampere. Now, my question is what amount of electric current do we get here? Let us see. So, when we change the position of the ammeter, again the quantity of electric current is same, it is not changing 2 amperes. Now, we will change again. Let us see what is the current that we achieve when we change the position of ammeter in resistance. So, again as you can see it is 2 amperes. So, what is the conclusion? Conclusion is in a resistors when they are connected in series, no matter wherever you connect the ammeter, the current does not change. Now, in the third experiment we have another thing. What is this? We have connected a voltmeter. What will it do? It will measure the potential difference. Where it will measure? At the points where it is connected. So, we have connected it at the first resistor, 1 ohm resistor. Let us see whether the potential difference is also same or whether it will vary. Keep thinking. Let us see now. So, we are seeing a potential difference of 2 volts, resistance of 1 ohm, current of 2 amperes, resistance of 1 ohm, 2 into 1, the voltage is 2 volt. Second resistor, what is the potential difference? Whether again 2 volt, this is the 2 ohm resistance, whether we will get 2 volt, let us see. So, we have the ammeter is showing same 2 ampere current, resistance is 2 ohm. What is the potential difference? It is 2 into 2 IR, it is 4 volts. So, that means our assumption is wrong, it did change, the potential difference did change. Now, we will take the potential difference at the third resistor. So, any guesses? We see that current is same 2 ampere and the resistance is 3 ohm. So, the potential difference is how much? 6 ohms. Here we have seen 6 ohm is the potential difference, and here we are again comparing with the formula, it is 6 volt, 6 volts. Let us add all the 3 potential differences, V1 plus V2 plus V3, and we shall substitute IR in the place of V1. One thing you need to observe, 2 plus 4 plus 6 is the 3 volt potential differences at 3 resistors is equal to the source potential R 12 volt. So, by taking the form by substituting IR in place of V, that is Ohm's law, by taking common we are finding that RS is equal to R1 plus R2 plus R3. So, this is the series resistance. Total resistance of the circuit we can get by just adding the resistors. This is the conclusion. So, by adding the resistors we will get the total resistance of the circuit when the resistors are connected in series. So, here is the problem. You can see 2 resistors. Bulb is also a resistor. There is another resistor symbolically given there. So, one is having 20 ohm, another is 4 ohm. If you add those two, that is the series resistance, total resistance RS. That is the first sub question. And what is the current flowing through the circuit? Current we can find by Ohm's law, V is equal to IR. V is known here, V is the value 6 volt, R is given 20, we have found it. So, current is equal to V by R, we will get 0.25 ampere. So, now we are entering in the third experiment the second sub experiment. Here we are connecting the resistors in parallel. Just observe, one below the other, across, they are connected across, not one after the other as in series. Let us start measuring current and potential difference. Current, it is 22 ampere. The potential difference, if you can see there, 12 volt. So the source is also 12 volt, potential difference is also 12 volt. Here it is 22 ampere, current is 22 ampere, resistance in parallel. First resistor, we got potential difference as 12 volt. Second resistor, any guesses you have? Let us see. Let us start the power supply, and again potential difference is 12 volt, that is equal to the power source. Current is 22 ampere. Let us start the third one. The third resistor, 3 ohm resistor. Here also we can see that the current is 22 ampere and the potential difference is 12 volt, which is equal to the source potential. So can you remember, in series it was varying, the potential difference was varying, but here the potential difference is same. In series the current was not changing, series circuit. Here it is same, but we have measured it at the end, total resistance. Let us see what will happen if we connect this ammeter here. So we have connected the ammeter at the first resistor. Let us start the power supply and see whether potential difference does not change in parallel. Let us start the power supply. Okay, so now we are seeing the current is 12 amperes there. So how did we get 12? 12 by 1 is 12. So what is 12? It is current. What is this 12? It is the potential difference. So potential difference by the first resistor, that is the 1 ohm resistor, is equal to 12 ampere. So that is what we have got here. Because of the potential difference and the resistance, we have got the current as 12 ampere here. Now we have, if you observe, we have put the ammeter here. Let us start the current and let us see what will be the electric current. So if you observe, it is 6 amperes. So in the ammeter, and how did we got that? 12 volt is the power supply and 2 ohm is the resistor. So 12 by 2 is equal to 6 amperes. So that means the current is changing here, unlike the series resistance which we discussed earlier. Now we will look into the third resistor. The third resistor, and we are seeing a electric current of 4 ampere. So the potential difference is 12, the resistance is 3. So 12 by 3 is 4 amperes. So let us write down all the things. We got different currents at different resistances, I1 plus I2 plus I3. First we got 12, 6 plus 4. Look, 12 plus 6, 18, 18 plus 4 is 22. So that was the total electric current in the circuit. 22 ampere is equal to 12 plus 6 plus 4. Now we will substitute in place of I, V by R1, V by R2, V by R3. So by taking common V, we will get 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3. So 1 by Rp is equal to, we will substitute the values of resistances, 1 ohm, 2 ohm, 3 ohm. So the total equivalent resistance of a circuit in parallel is 1 by Rp is equal to 11 by 6. So remember what all the observations we made. So this is how we will solve a problem on problem of resistors. 3 resistors 5 ohm, 10 ohm, 30 ohm. We have to find the current. V by R, we just saw V by R. V is 12 volt, R is 5. So we will find the first current. Here you can see 12 volt by 5, we will find it as 2.4 amperes. So in the same way, the next resistance is 10 ohm. The potential difference is 12. So we will find 12 by 10 is equal to 1.2. Again the same way, 12 volt is the potential difference, 30 ohm is the resistor, third resistor, 0.4 ampere. So 3 resistors current we will add 2.4, 1.2 plus 0.4, we will get 4 ampere, and now we have got the total current. Total potential difference is 12 volt. There we can see. So, if we divide V by I, we will get the resistance, because R is equal to V by I by Ohm's law, that is 3 ohm. 12 by 4 is 3 ohm. Now, heating effect of electric current. See, as I told, whenever electric current flows, there is some amount of heat which is dissipated, and this heat is more when we have made use of alloys, which you can see in the figure here. Basically, we use alloys in electric iron box or electric stove or electric water heater. So, what property do the alloys have that we use here in heating effect? They have more electrical resistivity. That means they resist the flow of charges. So, because of the when charges are moving through these alloys, they collide with the atoms of the alloys. So, because of such collisions, the heat energy is generated. So, electric current when flowing through a circuit which is high in resistance, the electric energy gets dissipated in the form of heat. This is known as heating effect of electric current. Now, before going to Joule's law, we have a lot of applications in heating effect of electric current. If you take the example of fuse, if you take the example of bulb, the filament is made up of tungsten. The property which tungsten has is it has high electrical resistivity. Because of this, the electrical resistivity is high, it avoids the flow of charges. More collisions happen. Because of it, heat is dissipated. Because of that heat, too much of heat will ultimately lead to production of light. And remember, in bulb, nitrogen and argon gases are used to avoid the filament being worn out or being evaporated. To avoid that, it is used. And coming to fuse, fuse is for the safety of domestic establishment, because or any industrial establishment, because more charges, more potential difference leads to electrical hazards, and it destroys the equipment and many other ways. To avoid it, we have to stop the flow of more charges. So, we use the fuse, which is made up of tin and lead. What property does fuse have? Fuse have a property of high electrical resistivity. That means it gets heated up easily, but it has very unimportant property, it has low melting point. So, that low melting point makes the fuse to melt and stop and disconnect the power supply to the entire establishment only when electric current is more. So, that is why we make use of fuses. They come in various varieties: 1 ampere fuse, 2 ampere fuse, 3 ampere or 5 ampere and 10 ampere fuse. So, that number, it signifies that 10 ampere fuse means 10 ampere of electric current can flow through that fuse. If you give more than 10 ampere of electric current, then it will melt and stop and this gets disconnected. That is how it saves the power, it saves the houses and establishments. We need to choose the fuse based on the requirement of the need of the establishment. So, this is Joule's law of heating. So, to move one unit of charge, we call it as work done or potential difference. If we move q charges, as you can see there, more number of charges are there. If you move more number of charges, q number of charges, then the work done is V into q. For one charge, the work done is V. For q number of charges, the work done is V into q. Now, that is the work done, but work done along with the time, if you take it, then it is power, that is rate of doing work. Now, if you cannot do work if you do not have energy, so if you want to do more work, you have to use more energy. So, more, that means you are using as much energy as you are doing work, or the other way, as much work you are doing, that much energy you are using. So, both the things, work by time, work done by time for power, and energy used by time for power are same. So, work done, we have seen q number of charges are being moved by potential difference V. So, work done is VQ and the time taken is T. or we already know Q by T. Initially we learned about electric current. Q by T means I. So, power is equal to V I. That is the formula to find power. So, we just told that power is equal to energy by time. So, energy is equal to power into time by just cross multiplying the previous formulas that you just saw. So, all this energy gets dissipated. So, in these alloys that we are talking about in heating effect of electric current. So, that is why energy, all the energy, most of the energy that is being supplied to the device or instrument is converted into heat. So, energy used is nothing but the heat produced, because as much energy it is using, because of high resistivity, it is producing that much amount of heat. So, heat produced is equal to power into time. So, H is equal to VIT. Heat produces H, power is VI and time. So, H is equal to I squared RT, because V is equal to IR, that is by Ohm's law. So, here this is what the Joule's law of heating tells. If you want more heat to be produced, you have to use more resistance, directly proportional. If you want to produce more heat, more current needs to be supplied. If you want to produce more heat, more time that device has to be in use. So, that is what we have written down here. Heat produced in a resistor is directly proportional to the square of the current for a given resistance. Heat produced in a resistor is directly proportional to the resistance, directly proportional for a given current. And heat produced is directly proportional through the time that the device or the resistor is in use. Now, let us solve a problem on this Joule's law of heating. 100 joule of heat each second in a 4 ohm resistance. Find the potential difference. So, heat is given and the resistance is given. So, time is given each second. So, all those things we note down, H, R and T. Now, we need to find the potential difference. So, as you know, the H is equal to I square RT. By using that, we know that I is equal to square root of H by RT. So, square root of 100, and by substituting the values of H, R and T, we will get the current is 5 ampere. And when you know the total current flowing, we can find the potential difference, because resistance is 4 ohm. So, 5 into 4 is 20 volt. Now, electrical power. See, when we use many electrical appliances at home. If you take example of electrical iron, which is having a which uses a power of 1 kilowatt, 1000 watts, around 1000 watts or more. And if you compare it with electrical water heater, which is having a power which uses a power of 3 kilowatt or 3000 watts. So, that means different appliances, they consume different amount of power in 1 second. That is the value. 3000 watt means this is the power consumed, energy consumed by the device. So, the P is equal to VI, the SI unit of power is watt. It is the power consumed when when we supply 1 volt of potential difference to the circuit. 1 volt we have given, and we are getting a 1 ampere current in the circuit. So, 1 watt is equal to 1 volt into 1 ampere is equal to 1 volt ampere. So, this is 1 watt means 1 volt into 1 ampere. Here P is equal to VI, 1 watt, V is 1 volt, I is 1 ampere. So, let us see here. Watt is a very small unit. So, we use the commercial unit kilowatt hour. So, what is this kilowatt hour? Kilo means 1000. So, 1000 watts of electric current, if it is used for 1 hour, 1 hour means 60 seconds into 60 minutes, 3600 seconds. So, it comes down to 3.6 to 10 power of 6 joules. So, this is a commercial unit. Based on this commercial unit, we get the power bill at our establishments or device, wherever we use the electric current. We need to pay the bill accordingly. So, we will solve a problem on a power. Electric bulb potential difference they have given, current they have given, we will find the power by multiplying P is equal to V into I. 220 into 0.5. Now again we will solve another problem here. Here electrical refrigerator rated 400 watt operates 8 hours per day. What is the cost of energy to operate it for 30 days at 3 rupees per kilowatt hour? So how many days it is being used? 30 days. How many hours? 8 hours. We will multiply that. And what is the power needed, energy needed by the refrigerator? 400 watt. So we will multiply all those, we will get the value. It is the total hours for which the refrigerator is using the energy, electrical energy. So 96,000 means 1000, we can call it as kilo, 96 kilowatt. Thus the cost of energy to operate the refrigerator is, this is 1 unit which we call commercially. We will multiply 1 unit cost 3 rupees, that means 96 into 3 is 288. So today we have learnt these 5 things. One is the basic concepts in electric current, electricity, and Ohm's law, and the resistances in series and parallel, heating effect of electric current, and electric power. So remember all these and prepare well for the examinations, and thank you very much.
ಭೀತಿ ತೊರೆಯುವ ನಾವು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಬರೆಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ
ಖಾಲಿ ಜಾಗ ಭರ್ತಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೊಂದಿಸಿ ಬರೆದು ಲೆಕ್ಕ ಮಾಡಿ
ಚಿತ್ರ ಬರೆದು ಭಾಗವ ಹೆಸರಿಸಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೂ ಉತ್ತರಿಸಿ
ಪಾಸು ಫೇಲು ಗೆಲುವು ಸೋಲು ಜೀವನ ಎಲ್ಲಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮಿಗಿಲು
ಅಂಕಗಳೆಂದರೆ ಮೇಲಿನ ತೊಗಟೆ ವಿದ್ಯೆ ಅದರ ಒಳಗಿನ ತಿರುಳು ಭೀತಿ ತೊರೆಯುವ ನಾವು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಬರೆಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ
ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿ